Hi, Ro. This is Jim Gillis with Win My Vote and the National Student Parent Mock Election. Sorry I don't have my camera on. I actually have my camera on, but for some reason it's not jumping in front of the screen capture software. But I wanted to get this to you as soon as possible, just to stay topical. I did see the latest retweet from Larry Lessig about the $50 Democratic voucher. I recently moved from San Francisco to Seattle, where they have $100 Democratic or democracy vouchers here, but it really doesn't work. You end up having the same problem that you have in the first place, which is the only candidates that I know that can campaign for my voucher are the ones that have the deep pockets, that can be on radio and newspaper, that can rack up endorsements. That ends up being the candidates that I know and that I hear most often from, right? So the voucher becomes the equivalent of a vote, right? And we all know what happens when you outspend your candidate, you win votes. So what I wanted to talk with you about is an idea that will take money out of politics. And that is the site that I built, which is called Win My Vote. And the way I'll start it is I'll show you the National Student Parent Mock Election. And that is what we did in 2016. It's a mock election that's been around for about 30 years. So it was mainly a television event through NBC. And then in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of the board members that have become, elderly and retired and moved on. Now, this year, myself and a couple of board members are really bringing this thing online and mobile. And the reason that I'm using this as an example is that I'll go back to the ballot. This was the 2016 ballot. We had about 5 million teachers and students throughout the country. And what they did is they got their ballot here. They were able to see all of the candidates side by side. A lot of them didn't know who Evan McMullin was before this mock election, or Gloria here either, or for that matter, Zoltan. And they were able to, click into the candidate profiles and hear directly from the candidates.
So I'm hitting the road to earn your vote.
And yeah, I wish you would have said win your vote. But they can, go down here and they can see issue statements that the candidate has built. They can see a full bio of the candidate. They can look at their Facebook page or their Twitter account. They can also see groups and organizations and individuals that are endorsing this candidate. And if they want, they can just click straight through and hear those.
For more than a year now, across thousands of miles in all 50 states, tens of millions of Americans have made their voices heard.
And I can, click here to see all the different endorsements. And again, I can click straight through.
Leadership is not yelling and screaming and intimidating, right? Yeah, she knows.
And with that, I can either, favorite the candidate here, or I can go back to the ballot and I can favorite the candidate here. Or I can favorite the candidate here, and then that candidate will jump into that first position. The nameplate will turn green. The percentage here will change. So if I'm really excited about this candidate, I can even help campaign by making an endorsement, either written or video, and then sharing that, on social media as well as on this site as what's called a trusted source. But I can talk with you about those details later. But I can also, comment on this. We have a comment board where it's not open to the world and to Russian bots. It's just people that are on this ballot that have my zip code. And I can easily click through and say only verified voters or only trusted sources and friends. That's who I want to communicate with on this. So it really, closes it down. But the way that it gets money out of politics is that if you scroll down your ballot, so for example, Preston Pickus here, I'm sure no one even knew that he was running against Nancy Pelosi, right? But now I do, and I can click on Preston and I can hear what he has to say.
In California, only 2 candidates make it to the general election. In the race for Congress in California's 12th district, it's myself and Nancy Pelosi. No one else. Congresswoman Pelosi, I know you've avoided debating your opponents for the last 30 years, but debate is the heart and soul of a functional democracy.
And maybe I say, you know what, he's right about that. Let's let's favorite him. And when I go back to my ballot, you'll see that he is favorited here. And then I may comment on this, or I may share his profile with some friends, and I may say, hey, let's try to get together and make Nancy Pelosi, debate this guy. But the real power of Win My Vote here is that Preston doesn't need to then say his name to me 7 or 8 more times, as all the advertising and the marketing people will tell you, right? Because I can forget his name, and I can go about and I can go down to other races and I can check these out. I can go down and look at the school board races and check them out. I can go down to propositions and measures, and I can click through to those propositions, and I can hear what they. So this all starts as undecided. And by the way, this is an old version of Win My Vote. We just have it up here to do all the testing and stuff. I'll show you the new version in a second. I know this is running longer than you should be watching, so sorry. But I can watch a little 1-minute video of what the proposition's all about.
Prop 55 in 1 minute. Taxes for education. 4 years ago, a tax on the wealthy.
And then here I have my trusted sources. I have groups and organizations that I trust, that I opted into, to hear why they're supporting 55, and those that are opposing 55. And Ethan Behrman, he's on KGO. I know who he is. I kind of like his politics, so I selected him as a trusted source, and I want to hear what he has to say.
When does temporary mean temporary? Well, it doesn't here in California when it comes to money and taxes. We passed Proposition 30 back in 2012, which was a 7-year tax tier education system, a state board of education, a county board of education, and a district board of education. All other states have 2, state level, district level. I say absolutely no. By the way, I have kids in public schools in California. I want the best public schools. I still say no on Prop 55.
And obviously I would hear some of these sides and hear what they have to say about it. And then I would say, okay, you know what, I'm going to go with a no on 55. And then when I go back to my ballot, it's nice and prominent here, no on 55. And then I can scroll down and I can do the same thing on these, and I can look at this and, oh, here's Monterey Bay Aquarium, and I want to check out what they have to say.
Hey there, YouTube. My name's Patrick, and this lovely lady here is Makana, the Laysan albatross. We have a very important message for California voters. Please vote yes on Prop 67 for a plastic-free ocean.
Right, and then with that, again, the last demo I did, I just checked yes. So, again, I'm thinking, okay, the Monterey Bay Aquarium is not, an organization that I think is somehow benefiting, from this proposition. And again, I would do further research. I would look all over. But then I say yes on that one, and again, I go back to my ballot, and then that's, nice and prominent here, yes. And then I go down to the measures, and yes, this is the real ballot where we had about over 40, propositions and measures combined. I think it was, right, we had 17 propositions and 25 measures, which is absolutely crazy to go through. But then I can go through all of that stuff, and then I can say, you know what, I have no idea what that guy's name was that was running against Nancy Pelosi, but I can just go back up here and say, oh, it's Preston Pincus, and that's, who I'm decided I'm going to vote for. And that, and in this way, I can, again, share my ballot with friends, and they can say, look, he's really into it. He's done the research. But not to run on too long. Again, the idea of it is that when a candidate builds a profile and jumps onto the Win My Vote ballot, I will see him. So if I go down here, and this wasn't a good example because of the top 2 part in some races, but let's say I go down here and Trevor here is brand new. He just joined the race and just declared the other day, and he's campaigning now. I'll be able to see him. Otherwise, Trevor's going to have to buy television commercials, radio commercials, lawn signs. He's going to have a major operation to get to me. Here on Win My Vote, it's $100 for a candidate profile, and now he has my attention. I'm going to give him 5 minutes, and I'm going to pick, my favorite of that. So again, so sorry about that, but I wanted to show you just the new version, of the site and what it will look like. It's just a little bit nicer of a look, nicer front end, but again, it functions the same way. I can click on the candidate. I can see the candidate profile here. I can click on, sorry about that, these are featured endorsements. I can scroll through those. I can click About Me on the issues. Oops, sorry about that. I got off track. So you can scroll down. And then on the issues here, you can see little sub-issues where I can click on those and learn a little bit about those. And then this right here, for the record, is just a way for candidates to address some negative campaigning, whether it be something that they want to say that's negative, they want to point out something about their opponent. This kind of sort of walls that area off, or if they want to, defend themselves against some negative campaigning, but they don't want that to be on their main page, or certainly not their main message. They can have this, and then you can kind of follow that saga if you want, down like that. But then the endorsements tab, again, you can see all of them, and you can click through. And I like this is just a PowerPoint front end, so sorry about that. There's a AFL-CIO under the screen that's not being captured, so you click on that, and you can see and hear that endorsement. And then Sarah Silverman, and then I think I have, the CTA. So you can go through all of these, and again, these are trusted sources. These are opt-in groups and organizations and individuals that I want to hear, who they're endorsing and who they're voting for. So then I can go, back up to the candidate. I can favorite the candidate, and then when I go back to my ballot, you can see that it's nice and green here with a green star. I can see the percentage, see how they're doing, and I can go down to the next race. And let's say if I know Jane Smith, so I just favorite her. In this race for Attorney General, I want to check out the Justice Democrat, so I can see this candidate, and I can scroll down and learn about them, and then favorite them, and then back to the ballot, and now they are favorited. So I can really work through my ballot quickly. Now this is just a PowerPoint front end for demo purposes, so it's all messed up over here. But these little links right here will allow me to find my polling place and check on my voter registration status and do everything that I need to do to really complete the whole campaigning, choosing, learning, all that stuff, all the way up until I walk in the polling booth. And then that last step, I actually have to vote, obviously. But up until then, it can be all done here, and it can all be done for free as a voter. So we'd love to talk with you about this. We're looking for funding right now. We're going to be doing the 2018 National Student Parent Mock Election, which, if you're still watching, I would be shocked. But if you are, I'll show you real quickly what that will look like. It's going to be a new front-end site, real basic. Teachers sign up. I think I gave you the wrong one there. Yeah. Teachers will sign up here. There'll be some sponsors and stuff down there that we're talking to, but the kids will then click on their ballot, and then they'll be able to click on the candidate profile and go through that same process that I showed you earlier about voting and making it really simple. Do all the same steps that you can do on Win My Vote, and we're really excited about this, and would love for all the parties to get together and even have their candidates create some content directly to the students. Now they do this in Canada, and they do an incredible job there. All of the leading parties do specific videos about kids, and they answer questions about kids, and then they answer what we call ballot questions, which we can always change the name of that, but it's a basic issue statements about some of the topical issues that are going on right now in voters' minds. But anyway, sorry about this super long video. It was supposed to be just a couple minutes. But again, would love to talk with you about it. We're a startup. We're looking for funding. We're looking for candidates to create profiles and groups and organizations to create trusted sources pages. But we really think that this platform, is the right platform to take money out of politics, because it gives candidates everything they need to campaign to voters for $100. It gives voters everything they need to cast a well-informed vote, and then it gives groups and organizations a chance to, sort of speak their piece and feature their endorsements on a platform directly to voters. And again, groups are free and voters are free. So thanks a lot. Bye-bye.